The first time I realized I was in danger, I was standing in the glass elevator of the Hale Global headquarters, staring at the reflection of the man I should never look at for too long. Alexander Hale, my father-in-law, my wife's father. The man whose empire I had been married into. The man I should fear, not crave. But that morning, something felt wrong, something felt different. The elevator doors closed, and for a moment it was only the two of us, surrounded by steel and silence. He stood tall beside me, a tailored black suit hugging broad shoulders, silver-streaked hair swept back with effortless authority. He smelled like expensive cologne, and a life lived far above mine. "Adrian," he said, his deep voice filling the glass walls. My name sounded too warm in his mouth, too personal. I forced myself to breathe. "Good morning, sir." He looked at me then, really looked, and I felt the floor slide away beneath my feet. His ice-gray eyes lingered on my face longer than they should have. The unintentional spark, the first emotional beat hit like lightning, thinking. "Why does he look at me like that?" Alexander tilted his head, a slow, deliberate gesture. "You look pale. Are you sleeping at all?" I swallowed. "I sleep fine." "That's a lie," he said softly, almost tenderly. "I can always tell." The elevator chimed, the sound interrupting the moment, and he stepped out first. But he didn't walk away. He waited for me, waited for me. And when I passed him, his hand brushed mine, lightly, deliberately, a barely there touch that still sent heat crawling up my spine. The first suspicious look. The second emotional beat. My heart stuttered. I didn't look back. I couldn't. If I did, I would drown. The boardroom was cold, cavernous, built for billionaires and ruthless ideas. I took my seat beside my wife, Celeste Hale, a flawless porcelain statue with platinum hair and eyes that never quite settled on me. She didn't look at me now. She was texting someone she shouldn't be texting. Damien, her true love, the man she'd been forced to leave behind. The marriage between us was a business transaction, a deal signed in gold ink. If we married, the Hale fortune remained intact. If we didn't, her father risked losing everything to shareholders. So here we sat, two strangers bound by diamonds and lies. Celeste finally spoke, her voice low and sharp. "Your tie is crooked." "It's fine," I murmured. She leaned slightly closer. "Fix it. Father hates imperfection." Before I could raise my hands, another hand reached across the table. Alexander. He adjusted my tie in front of everyone, slow, confident, intimate. "Better," he murmured. His fingers grazed my throat. The silent pull, the third emotional beat. I could barely breathe. Celeste stared, but not with jealousy, with confusion. And Marcus Lynn, Alexander's secretary and closest confidant, watched quietly from across the table, his observant golden-brown eyes narrowing with suspicion. Something in this family was shifting, and Marcus noticed first. Hours later, after meetings and silent wars, Celeste returned to the penthouse while I lingered in the hall outside Alexander's office. I shouldn't have been there. I knew that. But I heard something I shouldn't hear. Alexander's voice, low, unsteady, speaking to Marcus. "I'm losing control," Alexander confessed. "Marcus, I'm drawn to him." My breath caught. He wasn't talking about a business partner. He wasn't talking about a stranger. He was talking about me. Marcus exhaled heavily. "Alexander, he's your son-in-law." "I know," Alexander snapped, then softened, voice cracking. "I know, and it doesn't stop anything." My pulse throbbed in my neck, emotional temptation. Guilt plus desire collision, two emotional beats in one moment crashing into each other like thunder. Marcus stepped closer to him. "You love him, don't you?" Alexander whispered. "Yes." My knees almost buckled. He loved me. He loved me, my wife's father loved me. A knock echoed through the hall, loud, sharp, and I flinched. Celeste stood behind me, arms folded. "What are you doing?" she hissed. I dropped something." "You're lying." She stepped closer. "And lately you've been strange?" I couldn't answer, because everything inside me was crumbling. At dinner, the tension was suffocating. Celeste kept glancing at her phone. Alexander kept glancing at me. Marcus sat quietly at the end of the table, studying every second. And then halfway through the meal, the doorbell rang. When the guard opened it, Damien Cross walked in. Celeste's breath hitched. My grip tightened on my fork. Alexander's jaw clenched. "Celeste," Damien said, voice low and warm, "I need to talk to you." And I watched, helpless, as my wife's heart stepped out of her chest and walked straight to him. She followed Damien into the hallway, whispering frantically. Alexander's gaze shifted to me again, but this time, something dark burned behind his eyes. The jealous spark. Not jealousy for his daughter, jealousy for me, my breath caught. He wasn't jealous of Celeste's ex. He was jealous that I was looking at them and not at him. His voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. Adrian, look at me. His hand reached across the table, stopping just inches from mine. Why does it hurt me, he whispered, to see you drift from me? Drift from him? I stared at him, trembling, thinking, why do I want him to touch me? Why does it feel right? Alexander's voice lowered further. Tell me it's only me you see. My heart hammered against my ribs. Sir, we shouldn't. Say it, he breathed. Say it, Adrian. I couldn't. Because if I did, everything would break. Boundary crossing. The sixth emotional beat whispered between us. Alexander leaned closer, eyes burning, voice trembling with restrained desire. God, Adrian, what are you doing to me? For the first time, I realized I wasn't the only one losing control. Later that night, I stepped onto the penthouse balcony, trying to breathe in the cold night air. The city glittered below, a world I didn't belong in. Footsteps approached. I didn't need to look to know who it was. Adrian, Alexander said quietly. I closed my eyes, shaking. Please, I whispered. Don't, he stood behind me too close, his warmth brushing my back. I can't stay away from you, he said. I've tried. I gripped the railing until my knuckles whitened. You're my father-in-law, I rasped. You're her father, and you're my son-in-law, he murmured. But that didn't stop my heart. I turned to him slowly, and for a moment our faces were inches apart. His breath touched mine. His eyes searched me like a man drowning. Tell me to walk away, he whispered. Tell me you don't feel anything. My lips parted, but no words came out, because I did feel something dangerous, something wrong, something I couldn't bury anymore. His hand lifted, trembling, as if reaching for my cheek. Adrian, he breathed, and in that moment, everything inside me shattered, the emotional breakdown, the forbidden confession, the irreversible fall. I think of you, I whispered. More than I should. Alexander inhaled sharply, eyes darkening with relief and pain. God, Adrian! He stepped forward slowly, and I didn't move. I didn't stop him. I didn't breathe. Our foreheads touched, not a kiss. Not an embrace, just the most intimate point of contact two forbidden men could share. I want you, he murmured, even if it ruins me. My breath trembled. I want you too, I whispered. Everything broke open. The moral collapse. We stood there, shaking, drowning in what we could no longer deny, and when he finally stepped back, chest heaving, eyes red, he whispered, We can't go back from this. No, we couldn't. The emotional aftermath settled like smoke around us. Nothing would ever be the same. I didn't sleep, not because I didn't want to, but because my body didn't understand the silence anymore. Not after what happened on the balcony. Not after hearing Alexander Hale, my father-in-law, whisper he wanted me. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt the warmth of his breath against mine, our foreheads touching, our hearts beating with the same broken rhythm. By sunrise, I hadn't moved from the living room couch. I wasn't running from him. I was running from myself. When the elevator chimed, I stiffened. Alexander stepped into the suite, tall, composed, immaculate in a charcoal suit. But his eyes, those gray, burning eyes, landed on me immediately. He froze. Adrian, he said softly, my throat tightened. Sir, don't call me that, he murmured. A pause, heavy, dangerous. I looked away. Alexander. Something flickered across his face, relief, maybe even desire, before he stepped closer. Not close enough to touch, but close enough to feel. You didn't come to bed, he said quietly. I couldn't, he inhaled, slowly, painfully. You're avoiding what happened. I'm trying to survive it. A shadow crossed his face. Adrian, his voice broke, the first crack in the armor of a man who ruled empires. I meant every word. I shut my eyes. He took a step closer. I want you, he whispered. And I'm tired of pretending otherwise. My heart slammed against my ribs. My body responded before my mind could protest, thinking, don't look at him, don't fall, don't break. But I turned to him anyway. His expression, raw, exposed, made something inside me collapse. Last night, I whispered, should never have happened. I know, his chest rose sharply, and yet I can't forget a second of it. He took my wrist gently, not forcefully, not boldly, just enough to feel the pulse beneath my skin. Your heart is racing, he murmured. Is it because of me? I pulled my hand back, too fast, too revealing. Alexander's jaw tensed. The pull-push chaos began. Celeste walked in then, perfect hair, perfect dress, perfect emptiness. She glanced between us, her eyes narrowed. Why are you two standing so close? Alexander answered smoothly. We were discussing a board meeting. A lie, so fluent it scared me. Celeste stepped toward the counter, picking up her handbag. Damien is taking me out this morning. I need some air. My chest tightened. You're seeing him again? She didn't even blink. You don't get to ask me questions, Adrian. This marriage isn't real. Pain shot through me, not because I loved her, but because she said it in front of him. I saw Alexander's jaw clench. A muscle twitched near his temple. Celeste, Alexander said, voice low, you're still married. And you're still controlling, she fired back. Damien understands me better than anyone in this house, including you. Alexander's eyes darkened with something primal, anger, and jealousy he didn't want to admit. Celeste turned to me cold and careless. And you, Adrian, try not to embarrass the family today. She left without waiting for a response. Silence suffocated the air. Alexander stared at the door she had exited through, then turned slowly toward me. She doesn't deserve you, he said. That's not true. It is, he whispered. She doesn't see you, but I do. My breath hitched. Alexander, he stepped forward suddenly, cornering me gently against the edge of the marble countertop. If she doesn't want you, why can't I? My body trembled. Because it's wrong. Everything I've ever wanted has been wrong, he whispered. But wanting you feels like the only true thing I have left. My fingers curled against the cold marble. His hand lifted slowly toward my cheek, then the door opened again. Marcus Lynn walked in. Alexander's hand dropped instantly. I stepped back so fast I nearly stumbled. Marcus stopped, eyes narrowing at the tension in the room. Did I interrupt something? No, I said quickly. Alexander didn't answer. Marcus shifted his gaze to him. I need to speak with you privately. Alexander hesitated only for a second, then followed Marcus into the study, closing the door behind them. I shouldn't have listened, but I did. Their voices were low but intense. Marcus spoke first. Alexander, you're slipping. I know. Then stop. I can't. Marcus exhaled sharply. You're the head of a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate. You can't afford scandals, especially not this one. Alexander's voice cracked. I'm in love with him, Marcus. My heart stopped. Marcus sighed deeply. And what do you think he feels? I waited for the answer. Alexander whispered it like a confession. He's fighting it, but I can feel it. He wants me too. My entire body went numb. Marcus responded sharply. Wanting is not enough. If this gets out, I don't care. Yes, you do, Marcus snapped. If you fall, the entire Hale empire falls with you. Alexander's silence was heavy. Alexander, listen to me, Marcus said softly now. Do you want him? Yes. Then stay away until you can control yourself. A chair scraped. Footsteps moved. If I stay away, Alexander whispered, voice breaking, I'll lose my mind. Then choose, Marcus replied quietly. Your heart or your legacy. The study door opened. I pretended to look away from the wall like I hadn't heard a thing, but Alexander saw right through me. His eyes locked on mine, a storm behind them, a conflict tearing him apart. Adrian, he said softly, come with me. My breath hitched. Where? Somewhere we can talk. Marcus closed his eyes in frustration but said nothing. Alexander led me down to the private garden terrace, reachable only by his security key. A sanctuary of marble statues, chandeliers, and night-blooming flowers. The moment the door closed behind us, he turned toward me, the control in his composure cracking. You heard what I said to Marcus, he whispered. I swallowed. I didn't mean to. Do you feel anything for me? The question sliced through the air. Alexander, look at me. I did. Do you feel it too? He asked again, voice trembling. My heartbeat thundered. I feel something, I whispered. He stepped closer. What? He breathed. Tell me what you feel, my voice broke. I feel like I can't breathe when you're near me. His eyes darkened. He reached for my face, but hesitated an inch from my skin, breathing shakily. Adrian, our breaths mixed. The world slowed to a pulse. If I touch you, he whispered, I won't stop. A shiver went down my spine. Then don't, I whispered back. Alexander closed his eyes, fighting himself, then turned away abruptly, gripping the stone railing until his knuckles whitened. Damn it, he hissed. I'm losing myself. I stepped toward him, not close enough to touch, but close enough to feel the heat of him. You're not the only one. He looked at me then, raw, broken, wanting. Tell me what to do, he whispered. Tell me to walk away or tell me to stay. My breath trembled, thinking if I tell him to stay, everything changes. Adrian, his voice cracked. Please. I shut my eyes. And whispered the one word that destroyed the last piece of restraint he had. Stay. His breath hitched. He turned, reached, and his fingers finally brushed my cheek. A soft touch. A forbidden touch, a touch we could never undo. We both exhaled, trembling as his forehead pressed against mine again. Not a kiss, not yet, but enough to burn. "I'm yours," he whispered. "Even if I shouldn't be." My voice shook. "And I'm falling for you." The moment shattered when someone shouted my name. "Adrian!" I jumped back. It was Damien. He stormed onto the terrace, eyes blazing, chest heaving. Alexander stepped forward protectively, the shift so subtle yet so possessive it sent electricity through the air. "What the hell is going on here?" Damien snarled. Alexander's eyes sharpened dangerously. But Damien's next words cut deeper than any knife. "Are you two having an affair?" Silence. A silence that screamed the truth neither of us had dared to speak aloud. Alexander's fists clenched, my breath froze, Damien glared between us. "I knew something was off the moment I walked in that house," he growled. "You," he pointed at Alexander, "and you," he pointed at me, "can't even hide the way you look at each other." Alexander's jaw tightened. His voice was low, deadly. "Watch your words, Damien." "Oh, I will," Damien snapped, "and Celeste will hear every damn one of them." I stepped forward, panic rising. "Damien, wait," he turned sharply. "Oh, so now you want to talk. Tell me, Adrian, what exactly am I supposed to tell Celeste? That her father is in love with her husband, and her husband feels the same." My chest constricted. Alexander's voice dropped to a warning growl. "Say another word." "Or what?" Damien shot back. "You'll ruin me by my silence, threaten my life." He stepped closer to me, too close, grabbing my wrist. "Choose, Adrian," he hissed. "Choose who you are before all of us burn for your weakness." Alexander grabbed Damien's hand instantly, tearing him away from me. Their faces were inches apart. "Touch him again," Alexander said softly, "and I will destroy everything you've ever loved." Damien smirked. "And there it is, the confession." He turned to me sharply. "This family will eat you alive. And when it does, don't expect me to save you." He walked away. The moment the door slammed, Alexander's chest collapsed. "Adrian, I'm sorry," my voice cracked as I whispered. "What have we done?" Alexander stepped closer again, but this time there was fear in his eyes, because for the first time our secret had a witness. And secrets with witnesses don't stay secrets for long. Damien's footsteps vanished down the corridor, but the echo of his accusation stayed behind like a wound that refused to close. I leaned against the terrace railing, breath shaking. Alexander stood a few feet away, chest rising and falling sharply, hands trembling at his sides. This was the man who terrified CEOs, controlled empires, crushed scandals before they even formed, and yet now he looked like a man on the brink of breaking. "Adrian," he said softly, "look at me." I couldn't, because if I did, I might fall again. "Adrian," he repeated, stepping closer. His voice was gentler than I'd ever heard it. Too gentle, too dangerous. I finally turned. His eyes weren't the cold, calculating gray I'd seen in the boardroom. Tonight they were something else, raw, frantic, terrified of losing me. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I didn't mean for him to see us like that." "He didn't just see us," I said, voice cracking. "He saw through us." Alexander flinched, because it was true. Damien had seen the truth we had barely admitted to ourselves. "He threatened to tell Celeste," I whispered. Alexander exhaled shakily. "I'll handle him. You can't threaten him again." "Yes, I can." His voice thundered suddenly, then collapsed into something broken. "I can't lose you, Adrian, not like this, not because of him." I stepped back. His desperation was intoxicating but terrifying. "We shouldn't talk here," I said. "Anyone could walk in." His hand reached out instinctively, then froze in midair before touching me. He dropped it. "Come to my office tonight," he murmured. My heartbeat faltered. "Alexander, no. We need to talk privately." Thinking privately is the last thing we need, he took one step closer, just enough for his warmth to brush against my chest. "Please," he whispered. That single word from him shattered something in me. I inhaled sharply, trapped. "Fine," I whispered, "but only to talk." A shadow of a smile touched his lips, pained, relieved, hungry. "Only to talk," he echoed. But we both knew that was a lie. Celeste returned hours later, smelling like Damien's car and wearing a different expression than usual. She didn't speak to me. She didn't even glance at me. She simply walked past, heels clicking like accusations. "Celeste," I said quietly. She stopped. Slowly she turned. Her blue eyes were cold but trembling underneath. "What? Are you okay?" She laughed, a hollow, humorless sound. "You don't get to ask me that." Her hands were shaking. "What happened with Damien?" I asked gently. "It doesn't matter." It does matter, I insisted. She finally lifted her chin, defensive. We talked, that's it. About us? No, she said sharply. About me, silence stretched. Then she whispered the words that pierced through me in a way I didn't expect. I want a divorce, Adrian. My breath stopped, not because I loved her, but because divorce would unravel everything, the deal, the inheritance, the power, the empire. You know we can't, I whispered. Yes, I know, her voice cracked, because my father's empire means more than my happiness. She blinked rapidly, trying to force the tears back. And your freedom means less than your guilt. I froze. She stepped closer, too close, searching my face with a strange intensity. You're hiding something, she whispered. You think I don't see it, but I do. My stomach tightened. What do you think I'm hiding? She stared into my eyes for a long, suffocating moment. Then she said it. You're not in love with me? I swallowed. Celeste, and I'm not in love with you, she continued. A pause, a breath, a truth. So whatever you're hiding, her voice trembled, I won't ask. But then her eyes sharpened with suspicion. However, she stepped close enough that her perfume suffocated me. If what you're hiding destroys my family, I will find out. Then she walked away, leaving me with a truth she couldn't have imagined. Night fell heavy, thick, suffocating. I found myself walking toward Alexander's office as if pulled by gravity. The hallway lights were dim. The silence felt alive. My pulse echoed in my ears. When I reached the office door, I hesitated, thinking, don't go in, don't do this again, you're already in too deep. But I knocked. A soft come-in answered. I stepped inside. Alexander stood by the window, his silhouette outlined by the city lights, tall, powerful, beautiful in a way that hurt to look at. He didn't turn, he didn't speak. He just stood there waiting as if he knew I would come. Close the door, he said quietly. The way he said it, low, strained, almost pleading, made my fingers shake. I closed it. He exhaled. Then he finally turned, and for a moment we simply stared at each other. No boardroom, no Celeste, no witnesses, just us. Adrian, he said softly, come here. My legs moved before my mind allowed them. I stopped a foot away. But not far enough. He lifted a trembling hand. May I? He whispered, a pause, a breath, a choice. I nodded. His fingers brushed my cheeks, soft, dangerous, addictive. My breath hitched. Damien saw everything, I whispered. I know. His hand slid to the side of my neck, warmth searing my skin. I'll take care of him. Alexander. No. His voice was raw. You don't understand what it does to me, seeing him near you, seeing you hurt, seeing you slip away. I trembled. He stepped closer, too close. Do you know, he murmured, voice shaky, how hard it is to see you in my house every day and pretend I don't want to take you into my arms? My lips parted. Alexander, his forehead touched mine again, that dangerous, intimate closeness that stole my breath. You asked me to stay, he whispered, and I did. My chest tightened. But now, his breath brushed my lips. I need you to tell me something else. My voice was barely a whisper. What? He swallowed hard. If I tell him not to, I'll break. If I don't, everything breaks. He waited, a dying man waiting for the last drop of water. Tell me, Adrian, he whispered desperately. Tell me no. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out, nothing. He inhaled sharply. That's what I thought, he whispered, voice trembling with desire and pain. Then he stepped back suddenly, away from me, dragging a hand through his hair like a man running from his own heart. We can't, he whispered. God, we can't keep doing this. I know. But if Damien tells Celeste, my stomach tightened. Do you think she already suspects? Alexander turned toward me slowly. His expression was not anger, not fear, something worse. Celeste won't be the problem, he said quietly. She doesn't care who you love. I froze. Then who's the problem? Alexander's eyes darkened with something heavy, dangerous, inevitable. My father, he said. My blood ran cold. Your father? He stepped closer, voice low and grim. He will not allow this family to be humiliated. He will not allow me to be humiliated. And if he suspects anything, his jaw tightened, he will destroy you. My heart dropped. And he will destroy me. Silence, cold, devastating. So now you see, Alexander said softly, why we're standing on the edge of something that could ruin us both. I shook. Aren't you afraid? I whispered. His eyes locked onto mine, burning. Yes, he said, but I'm more afraid of losing you. My breath broke. And that, he whispered, is where the real danger begins. The next morning felt wrong before the sun even touched the windows. There was a pressure in the walls, a heaviness in the air, a silence that didn't feel empty but watched. I knew it wasn't just my imagination. It was him, Alexander's father. The true power behind the Hale dynasty. The man everyone feared, including Alexander. I felt his presence before I saw him. A chill down my spine told me the truth. This house was no longer safe. When I stepped out of the bedroom, Celeste was already in the hallway. She looked shaken, pale, tense, chewing her lip. "Celeste," I asked cautiously. "What's wrong?" She didn't answer. She just kept walking toward me, slowly, until she whispered. "He's here." My chest tightened. "Who?" She swallowed. "My grandfather, the chairman." Blood drained from my face. The man Alexander feared, the man who saw weakness as betrayal. The man who controlled who married who inherited what, who obeyed him or vanished. Alexander's father, the chairman. "Why is he here?" I whispered. Celeste's voice trembled. "He knows something is wrong. Something, not everything, yet." We walked to the main dining hall together because we didn't have a choice. The chairman waited at the head of the table, tall, severe, dressed in black, eyes like polished steel. Alexander sat beside him, expression unreadable, shoulders tight. Marcus stood a few steps behind them, watching everything with sharp eyes. "Good morning," the chairman said without warmth. "Good morning, sir," I murmured. His gaze cut through me instantly, cold, dissecting, brutal. "Adrian Cole," he said slowly, "tell me something." I swallowed. "Yes, sir. Why does my son look distracted today?" His eyes narrowed. "Why does he look like a man in trouble?" Alexander tensed subtly. No one breathed. I forced myself to speak. "He has been under a lot of pressure with the new expansion project." "Do not lie to me," the chairman snapped, voice slicing through the air like a blade. My throat closed. Celeste stiffened beside me. Marcus looked away. Alexander stared at the table, silent, rigid. "I can smell secrets," the chairman said calmly, tapping his fingers against the table. "They stink. Especially in this house." His gaze swept over me again. "And you, young man, you carry a very specific scent." I froze. Guilt. My heart nearly stopped. Alexander's fists tightened under the table. Marcus's breath hitched. Celeste looked down, tears threatening. The chairman leaned back in his chair slowly. "Whatever sin is growing in this family ends today." The room spun. He wasn't asking, he wasn't warning, he was declaring war. After breakfast, Alexander led me into a small private gallery lined with ancestral portraits. The moment the door closed, I pressed my hands to my face. "Your father knows," I whispered. "He suspects," Alexander corrected tightly. "He does know. That's worse," I hissed. "When he knows something is off, he fixes it. He destroys whatever threatens his legacy." Alexander stepped closer. His hands were trembling. "I won't let him touch you," he said. "Not you." "Not ever. That's not something you can promise." "It is," he snapped, then softened instantly. "Adrian, please let me protect you." I stared at him, this powerful, dangerous man, and felt my heart fracture, because I wanted him. I wanted him more than I feared anything else, but his father destroyed people for less. "What if he finds out?" I whispered. Alexander's breath shook. "Then we run." My heart stopped. "Run," I whispered. He took my face in his hands, gently, desperately. "I've built an empire for him my entire life," he whispered, "and I would burn every piece of it if it meant saving you." I shook my head. "Alexander, you're talking like a man who is in love," he breathed. My chest collapsed. "Say something," he whispered. "Please." I shook. I couldn't speak. It felt too big, too real, too dangerous. But he continued, voice breaking. "I haven't slept in days. I can't think straight. Every time you walk into a room, I feel something I shouldn't feel, something I've fought for weeks," I whispered, barely audible. "I feel it too," his breath caught. "Adrian, please stop," I whispered, voice shaking. "If you keep saying those things—" "What?" he asked softly, stepping closer. "What will happen?" I swallowed hard. "I'll fall even more." Silence, heavy, painful, and then a knock. The door opened without waiting for permission. Marcus entered, pale, urgent, terrified. "Alexander," he breathed. "You need to come now." "What happened?" Alexander demanded. Marcus looked at me first, then at Alexander. Then he whispered. "It's Damien." My stomach twisted. Alexander's jaw clenched. "What did he do?" Marcus hesitated. Then, "He's talking to the chairman." My heart stopped completely. Alexander's face drained of color. "No," he whispered. "Not him." "Anyone but him." Marcus swallowed, voice shaking. "He told the chairman he has information about you and Adrian." The world collapsed. Alexander moved instantly, a storm in a suit, grabbing my wrist hard enough to feel his urgency. "Adrian," he whispered fiercely, "stay close to me. Do not speak to my father. Do not go anywhere alone. If he calls you, you run." His grip shook. "Do you understand?" I nodded, breath broken. Yes, Marcus looked between us, sorrow in his eyes. This is going to get ugly, Marcus whispered. Very, very fast. Alexander exhaled shakily, then looked at me, truly looked like this might be the last moment he could. Adrian, his voice cracked. If this ends badly, I stepped closer, instinct overriding fear. Don't say that, he swallowed hard. Just remember one thing. What? I whispered. His gray eyes burned into mine. I never wanted anyone until you. My breath trembled. And I will not let anyone hurt you for something we both feel. Before I could answer, Marcus grabbed Alexander's arm. It's time. Alexander nodded. Then he turned to me one last time. Whatever happens, he whispered, you don't leave my sight. But he did leave. He walked out of the gallery to face his father and Damien, leaving me standing alone, with the weight of our secret pressed against my chest. The hallway outside the chairman's private study felt colder than the rest of the mansion, like fear had seeped into the walls. Marcus stood beside me, trying to look composed, but his hands were trembling slightly, a quiet panic he couldn't hide. Don't speak unless you're spoken to, Marcus murmured. Don't flinch, don't look afraid. I am afraid, I whispered. Marcus inhaled shakily. So am I. Inside the study, muffled voices grew louder, Alexander's, Damien's, and the chairman's low, thunderous growl. Then, bring him. We froze. Marcus squeezed my shoulder, the smallest gesture of comfort, before pushing open the heavy double doors. I stepped inside. The room felt like a tribunal. The chairman sat behind the massive mahogany desk, his gaze cold and pitiless. Alexander stood to the side, stiff, furious, terrified, refusing to look at me, because looking at me would give everything away. Damien leaned against a column, arms folded, smirking like the devil who finally got his due. Adrian Cole, the chairman said slowly. Come. I walked forward, pulse hammering in my throat. He studied my face with precision, like a surgeon preparing to cut. Do you know, he said softly, why you're here? I swallowed. No, sir. Lie, he hissed. I flinched. Damien's smile sharpened. Alexander stepped forward instantly. Father, if you're going to interrogate someone, interrogate me. Sit down, the chairman said without looking at him. No. The chairman's eyes snapped up, cold steel piercing through his son. Alexander Hale, he said, sit down or I will make you. Marcus whispered under his breath, Alex, please. Alexander slowly sat, jaw clenched so hard a vein pulsed near his temple. The chairman turned back to me. Your marriage to Celeste is fragile, forced, convenient. A pause. I know that. Celeste stood in the corner now. I hadn't even heard her enter. Her face was pale, her blue eyes wide, terrified. Celeste, the chairman said without turning, tell me what you told me earlier. She swallowed hard. I said Adrian has been distant. Why? The chairman asked. Celeste hesitated, then whispered. Because he doesn't love me. The chairman leaned back slowly. And who does he love? Silence. No one breathed, no one moved. Celeste looked at me, eyes trembling, but she didn't say it, couldn't say it. Then Damien's voice cut through the silence. He's in love with your son. A blade, straight to the heart of the dynasty. My breath shattered. Alexander stood so violently his chair scraped the floor. You bastard! Sit down, the chairman roared. Alexander didn't sit. He stood like a shield, like a storm, like a man who had already chosen his ruin. The chairman looked at me again. Is it true? He asked. I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. My silence, my guilt, was the answer. The chairman exhaled slowly, like smoke before fire. You will explain exactly what you have done. Alexander came forward at once. He did nothing. If you want the truth, then hear it. I love him. I approached him. I broke first. I kissed him first. Enough, the chairman snapped. I did not ask you. He looked at me again, eyes deadly. Adrian Cole, he said, did you reciprocate? My hands shook. Every instinct screamed at me to lie, but lying was impossible. Not with Alexander's gaze burning into me, not with the chairman's eyes dissecting me, not with Damien smirking, not with Celeste silently breaking in the corner. I inhaled shakily and whispered, yes. Alexander's breath hitched. Celeste's eyes filled with tears. Marcus whispered, oh God. The chairman's expression didn't change. He simply folded his hands. So you admit to loving my son? A pause, a deadly silence. I admit that I have feelings for him, I whispered. Feelings? The chairman laughed once, cold, sharp, cruel. You threw the Hale dynasty into chaos over feelings. I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. The chairman stood. For the first time, he seemed larger than the room itself. Alexander, he said, step forward. Alexander didn't move. Now, Alexander stepped beside me, the chairman's gaze cut between us. You, he said to his son, have brought shame to this family. Alexander's voice was low, steady. I regret nothing. A slap cracked through the air, sharp, brutal. The chairman struck Alexander across the face. Celeste gasped. Marcus took a step forward instinctively. Damien flinched, even he wasn't expecting that. Alexander didn't move, didn't flinch, didn't react. He simply stared at his father, defiant. I regret nothing, he repeated. The chairman's jaw tightened. Then you are no longer my heir. The room whirled. Father, Celeste cried. Quiet, the chairman snapped. He looked at Alexander with ice-cold calculation. You choose this boy over your family? I choose him, Alexander said quietly, because he's the only thing that's ever felt real. The chairman's eyes filled with disgust. And you, he said, turning to me, are the reason my bloodline is collapsing into disgrace. I never, my voice cracked. I didn't mean to, you seduced him, the chairman hissed. No, Alexander growled. He didn't seduce anyone. The chairman raised a hand. Enough, I've made my decision. He looked at security, two men lurking in the shadows. Remove Adrian Cole from the premises permanently. Alexander lunged forward instantly. You touch him and I swear, the chairman barked. Do not test me. Security began to advance. No, no, I stumbled back. Alexander shoved himself between us, growling like a man ready to tear the world apart. You'll have to go through me, Alexander snarled. Security hesitated. No one had ever stood between Alexander Hale and danger. Now he was the danger. Father, Marcus said carefully, there are cameras, witnesses. This can turn into a PR nightmare. Do not lecture me on strategy, the chairman spat. But something had cracked, his control, his composure, and Marcus saw it. He stepped forward. Alexander is not your property, Marcus said quietly, and Adrian is not your pawn, the chairman glared. You stay out of this. Marcus held his ground, small, steady, unshakable. I won't. A shock rippled through the room. Damien shifted uncomfortably. Celeste wiped tears quietly. Alexander looked at his oldest friend, grateful, broken, and then the chairman finally exhaled. A long, slow exhale filled with defeat, disgust, and exhaustion. Fine, he said. You want to protect him, do it, but know this, he pointed directly at me. If the world finds out about this shame, I will destroy you both. Alexander stepped in front of me, blocking the chairman's view. We won't give the world anything, he said, and we don't need the Hale Empire, the chairman scoffed. And where will you go? Alexander looked at me, only me. Wherever he goes, he whispered, my breath trembled. Alexander, he turned to me fully, standing so close his presence swallowed the air. You're not alone anymore, he said softly, not if you don't want to be. I felt tears sting my eyes. But your empire, your legacy. I want you, he whispered, not the empire. My heart broke open. Alexander, he reached for my hand, and this time I let him take it. The chairman turned away in disgust. Both of you, he spat, get out of my sight. We didn't wait, not another second. Alexander pulled me out of the study, down the hall, past the portraits of ancestors whose expectations had crushed generations. Celeste watched us leave, silent tears on her cheeks, but she didn't stop us. Marcus followed behind, guarding us from a distance. When we stepped outside into the cold night air, Alexander finally breathed, free for the first time. He turned to me. His voice was quiet, trembling, human. Adrian, are you still willing to choose me? I stared at him, this man who had risked everything, lost everything, for a forbidden love he wasn't supposed to feel. And I whispered the truth, the only truth left. I choose you. Alexander exhaled shakily, a sound between relief and heartbreak. He pulled me into his arms, not a kiss, not a claim, but a desperate, trembling embrace. A choice, a promise, a fall. Behind us, the Hale mansion glowed with a cold, dying light. Ahead of us, uncertainty, ruin, danger. But also something we had never been allowed to have, freedom, and each other. Alexander held me tighter. We'll face whatever comes next, he whispered against my hair. Together. And I believed him. Because in that moment, everything we had lost finally felt worth everything we were about to start.